What's good, Relocation Football League fans? It's your boy Smitty, and oh man, I don't even got to turn that off. It's your boy Smitty here with Forbes for the weekly RFL podcast. Unfortunately, had to move this back a day due to family outing and stuff. Ended up going longer than expected, so I didn't have the time to get back and get this podcast going. So we're here today to recap the first week of the RFL preseason of Season X, and boy, I think this season really showed us, as you see from the title, that this season's going to be fire, man. We had a fire set of games, and we're about to go ahead and get into recapping that. Should be a fairly quick podcast like the last one, where we're just going into recaps, showing you guys what's going up for week 2. And then we're going to give our predictions on, standouts and what we want to see on each games. So with that being said, let's go ahead and recap the games. Starting off first with the Marshalls and Bisons in the first ever Hall of Fame game. We inducted our first 5 Hall of Famers. If you missed that, it's posted up on social media. Dre Crowell, of course, going in there. You had Hunter Mackey from the Riverhogs. You had Brady Hudson from the Huskies. Offensive lineman from the Celtic Tigers, Henry Nielsen, and linebacker Tyrone Brennan from the Voyagers. So those were the first 5 inducted RFL Hall of Famers. And then we had ourselves a pretty good game here. We got to see some rookies, Bo Sanders going out there, C.J. Johnson for the Bisons, and of course Juan Redden for the DC Marshals going out there making impactful plays. Vince Reed, couple guys, but I'm gonna let you go ahead and dive into that, Forbes, on what you saw out there. Marshals got the opening game won though by a good margin, 27-10. What's your thoughts on this matchup?
Yeah, man. When it comes to preseason, we love to see the rookies, see what they can do, this, that, and the other. But I know for the coaches, it's more about is all of my off-season testing going to show that I've done the right stuff? Have I found the right playbooks, the right, Madden added coach abilities and coach play sheets? Have I found the right mixture of everything? And you could tell from the start of the game that Hodge put in a lot of work this offseason, finding the right playbooks that fit his style, working with Leo Moon, these offseason acquisitions and trades he made. So just shout out to Hodge, because you could tell he put in a lot of work, and the Marshalls dominated this from the start. They put their foot on the gas in the first quarter and never let go. Just Leo Moon looks amazing. Defense looks amazing. Reed looks like he's going to be a great secondary back to Ward. So just shout out to the Marshalls for getting this dub. And CJ Johnson for the Bisons. He looked like a rookie. He looked good. Threw that interception to Juan Redden you were talking about. Bo Sanders got a lot of touches. Love to see that. Wish I would have seen Ethan Marks do a little bit more, but he's got a long season to go.
Yeah, going through this game, obviously, Marshalls, they handled business. Talk just going in with Ethan Marks too. He actually made a lot of great, impactful plays on the field that just weren't there yet. Like, he generated a lot of pressures. That first broken sack that Leo Moon had as well. Thought he was dead to rights. Leo Moon did a great job getting out of that, but he was dead to rights there. Hit him for a sack. He just bounced right off, and that was kind of his welcome to league moment. That hey, these quarterbacks aren't going to be as easy to take down. And he got a lot of pressures on some plays. He did end up getting the backfield for a sack as well. So I think he made his impact. Bo Sanders definitely did. We saw how he looked in the open field with the ball in his hands, as we expected him to from his days at Clemson, as well as his fellow teammate and wide receiver Mamadou Sinyalo. He only had 4 catches for 36 yards, but those 36 yards looked really good. He was able to slip a lot of tackles and get good yards after catching. That's what you want to see out of a receiver. I've seen a couple of guys taking shots at Torres as well. But I think you just got to give the Marshals their credit, for how great that pass rush was. They were able to generate a lot of heat in the first 2 possessions. And when in those first 2 possessions, I mean, they were just pretty much quick 3 and outs for Torres because of that heat. And we know this is a unit that struggled up front with their offensive line mightily last year, which is why they had one of the worst rushing offenses in the league last year, if not the worst. And Torres, was just under a lot of duress. Only got 2 not even really two full drives really to show anything. So I think guys going to be interested to see how he's looking in C.J. Johnson as well after his performance. Going into this upcoming week. Leo Moon was an absolute monster. Coming out there, picking up where he left off towards the second half of the season. I remember, first half of the season last year, it was rough for Leo Moon and the Marshalls, but then Hodge came in. You talked about his offseason work. And towards the end of that season last year, he had a lot of big moments. He only threw one interception in his last, I believe, like 8 games or something like that. So, I mean, this kid was very locked in, showed the potential to be that franchise quarterback. And he came into this game opening week 9 of 9, didn't miss a single pass, and both drives was able to get down the field, score for his team. So I mean, excellent job by him. Sean Acosta still in reps all 4 quarters, going out there making one hand catches. But yeah, it was just a great all around performance from the Marshalls, and we got to see the sprinkles of the guys we wanted to get a look at on the other side, despite the loss for the Bisons as well. So that was great to see. The second live game came with Tuesday, as this was your first live called game. Of course, we got some things to work out, but you didn't do bad, my guy. I got highlights coming for guys who are interested, of course, in looking at RFL highlights to recap games. I'm gonna start trying to get those posted on Sundays. Only reason I haven't been posted yet is because, of course, I had to, do this podcast today instead of yesterday, and I only got one more highlight, which is the game of the week to cut up. So I'll drop the other 3 highlights and then drop one tomorrow after this pod. But yeah, we had your first game being the Steamers and Jaden Young, the highly anticipated rookie. Everyone was waiting to see how he'd come out there and play against the Voyagers. Coach Baker. We obviously could tell he's going through a rebuild moment with the pieces he's given away. Glenn Hayes no longer that guy that's leading the ship, so to speak, anymore for the Voyagers. We got to see Monty Wyatt, really come in and try to make his impact first quarter. But Glenn Hay finished it off though, and Jaden Young made an impact as well. I mean, he had a nice connection with his rookie tight end Schneider. But before I start diving in even more takeaway points from you and what you saw, what was your thoughts on this game and how did it feel calling this one in your first game in the RFL?
Definitely a lot of nerves. Those of you who don't know, I'm a school teacher in real life, so I'm used to standing in front of everybody, looking at everyone's faces, talking. It was just a different kind of like nerve wracking calling a game. So gotta get my reps there, get better at it. Um, Gotta learn the numbers of guys on teams. Like I know all the receivers, but I'm calling the receivers the wrong names because I don't know their numbers.
Yeah,
So I
now come
gotta put
overtime.
yeah. But it was just exciting, and I can't wait to keep doing it throughout the season. But this game, I think it's just everything that you wanted to see from Young. I know Coach Jones has to be super excited. I think Young played a pretty much flawless game.
Hmm.
Obviously you have some incompletions, but no quarterback who's playing 3+ quarters is going to go 30 for 30.
Unless you're
You
Dre,
know, um,
the GOAT,
yeah,
Hall of
unless you're
Fame.
Dre, who's now in the Hall of Fame. So what are you gonna do? But love seeing the connection between him and Schneider. Love seeing the run game they had going through all 4 quarters. The Voyagers just could not stop the duo of Warner and TJ Jones. And then for the Voyagers is kind of what we expected. Um, I know that Baker was trying to work in a lot of young receivers, trying to get them reps, trying to see who's going to make his final roster, who's going to be playmakers for Monty Wyatt. Um, but I think for the Voyagers, we'll see more this week and then preseason week 3 as we get to see more of Monty play. That's going to be the real big thing for the Voyagers this season is how Monty Wyatt does.
Yeah. Also, another thing to point out in this one, I mean, we had Reed Wagner only playing the 1 quarter, and man, he had some bombs. Was able to connect with Jake Pride. Jake Pride was a receiver who we saw last year really make a name for himself. I mean, he was already known, but he was definitely on the brink in the first 3 games before that season-ending injury, on the brink of having his best season probably yet in the RFL, and then to have that taken away, but to see him bounce back, even though it's a preseason game, coming here just 3 catches, 97 yards, picking up where he left off. That was a great thing to see, especially with having his former coach back, and even the user behind the player is back within the Discord. So I mean, that's pretty interesting to watch there. Hopefully, he'll be able to have that full season and make that same impact it looked like he was going to make from season 9. But yeah, I think you hit on pretty much everything. We saw some good runs out of Brendan Warner. I don't know if many guys know about Brendan Warner. Brendan Warner was a running back who played with Geno Gannon at LSU. He was a great running back to watch in the RFL College Series, the first ever one, but never got his chance in San Jose now with the Condors, the reigning champs. He got to win a Reload Bowl with him, so I guess he got something out of it, and dropped into free agency and made some really good runs here now with his new teams in Memphis with the Steamers. And another last shout out I want to give is to Artemis Morton. It's another running back that is a low overall guy, but a very impactful player. He had some big catches, had a touchdown receiving, 52 yards on just 10 carries, and 78 yards out the backfield on 3 catches. So very impactful indeed, working out that backfield. It's good to see that Baker's still working with his underrated back there, who we saw really burst onto the scene back in season 7 when they had that championship game against the Explorers. That whole playoffs, that kid went off and still getting involved there in the offense. But following your first game, we had Pecan in the booth for his first RFL called game. We saw him all year with the RFL College Series calling games. With first RFL action, he did a great job. Of course, love hearing his energy. And he had your game that he was calling, and you guys faced up against the Pioneers. And it was the exact same score from your game, 23-16. Unfortunately, for you guys, didn't go your way with that victory opening up the preseason. But of course, it's just a preseason. Guys are expecting big things out of you guys this year. And so, what was your takeaways from your preseason game here? What did you see? What would you like to see? Moving forward, especially with your rookie quarterback. And what's some takeaways you'd say you saw from the Pioneers in this
Um, I'd like to be able to see us stop the run. Maybe once a game.
one?
Maybe not let them get 10 yards to carry. Um, but no, I mean, I think overall, I loved what I saw out of my players. Obviously, it didn't lead to a win, but if we look at Rivers, I mean, about 70% completion, 220 yards, and a garbage time touchdown, but a touchdown nonetheless. Couldn't really ask him much more from him playing with the backups against the backups. The player that really impressed me, what I was really surprised about on my team, was Corey Polly. He's coming in here knowing that he's not going to play right away this season, but his first RFL action, 70 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah,
What I really like from the Pioneers, and this is going to be controversial, is I think Bain's a better quarterback than Santana.
hot take, hot take, hot take, hot take. Oh man,
um, I think he played better. And I think if the Pioneers want a real shot to be competitive this year, Bain should start. But obviously, the whole point of this game was the run attack. Mike Troy traded from my team, killed it on the ground, 12 rushes for over 100 yards. That was the story of the game. They can run the ball. We couldn't stop the run.
yeah. Overall, it's still a great game to watch. And yeah, Mike Troy third got to be black for a game. He was supposed to be a white running back, man. And so I didn't even know that because this is a guy who usually doesn't touch the field, and we're only like what, our second season back to having a preseason. So it's interesting seeing guys come in, but it looks like when he got that change, man, dude came out here making some crazy plays. I think it was his first carry. He carved up a couple dudes, man, and it was a nasty juke that he just,
30-yard touchdown.
yeah, stuck for a long touchdown run. So I mean, great performance by him, and obviously he was the player of the game, leading the Pioneers to the victory. Again, 23-16. I liked what I saw out of Colorado Rivers. Still, of course, got them developing to do, but that's a rookie, and you already touched on Corey Polly. We'd like to see more, of course, of Dior Gore. He only got to play, I believe, that one quarter, right? Because I didn't see him.
He
Uh,
only he only played the. I think we only had like 8 total plays in the first quarter,
yeah,
but he got those 8 plays
yeah. So he really
for
didn't
one.
get to do too much in his opening game. So very interested to see what he's going to do with a whole half, coming into next week. But yeah, Pioneers getting the win there. And then after that, we had one more live game, which of course is going to be the last game we recap for the game of the week. But let's go ahead and dive into the premier games as we started out with Rodney Goins. Coach Goins, his first game with the Monarchs, getting a victory on the road in San Diego against Coach Davis, a Reload Bowl champion back in season 5, 28-20. What's your thoughts on Coach Goins, getting this victory, opening up on a good note? And just hanging and did you see anything from him out there? Do you feel like he just put a book in and just kept moving, or was there anything flashy with it?
Um, I'm gonna go with what I said about Hodge. I think if I remember correctly, he was one of those coaches who let me check Discord before I say this.
Oh
So
yeah,
we
and
had a
shout
couple of
out
coaches
to
who ran.
my bad. Shout out to my boy McCall for the $5 donation there. Just want to make sure to say that. It says we back. We definitely are. But go ahead.
Let me see, Rodney's. Now we had a couple coaches who didn't put in any play sheets or any abilities.
Hmm.
I want to say Rodney was one of them. If it'll load, so maybe he just thought his playbooks and his schemes were just. Oh no, so he had stuff on. Okay, but yeah, so I just same thing I said about Hodge. You could tell at least on the outside, preseason week 1 that it looks like he put in a lot of time thinking about what he wanted his playbooks to be, what he wanted his schemes to be, what he wanted his abilities to be. And his team came out and showed out for him. Now again, it's 3 quarters with the backups. Anthony Savoy and the Red Dragon starters only played 1 quarter, and we know that's a much better, much more dominant team. Um, so I think the real test for Rodney is going to become week 1.
Yeah, we really want to see what he does out there. With the full 4 quarters with the starters. Very interested to see, like, again, what is he going to do with those that unit, and just with the book, how is he going to move guys around? How much is he going to learn? As a coach, he spent a year at Baylor's controversial guys saying him getting positioned. He's going to have to really show us this year that he's really the real deal and serious about this coaching role. And that's a great way to start off with a win here. Russell Basler, backup quarterback, he came in, he did really good. Threw 2 touchdown passes over 200 yards, was able to help them win this game. So I mean, it's a great job. And I definitely cannot go through this game without giving a shout out to user submitted running back Matty King. He had a huge touchdown run, which will be on the touchdown video for every touchdown. I do already have that created. That'll be getting uploaded. But yeah, Matty King had a long 68-yard touchdown run. And another touchdown, I believe, as well. That one might have been through the air, if I'm not mistaken. But I mean, he did his thing, and I guess that's my main takeaways right there, just from what I was able to see on the field. Hard to give guys shout outs really with the fumbles and everything because they were so rampant. But I mean, shout out to everyone that was able to get some hit sticks out there and make the other team cough it up. But good win there for Rodney. At 4 p.m. Eastern, the same time, we had the Dreadnoughts and Coach Frankie taking on the Los Angeles Crusaders, and the final score was 43-24. Dreadnought scored the most points in the preseason, and it was a good amount of field goals and stuff towards the end. But I mean, they put in some really good work. I really liked how Ben Wakefield came out. So that goes to show how interesting are the Crusaders going to be, with their starters out, because Wakefield was just absolutely airing it out. And interested to see how things are going to go also with the Dreadnoughts with Owen Jack and them. So thoughts on this game here?
I think the first thing is the 2 quarterbacks that played for the Dread. It was Owen Jack, and then Matt Smith did not play the 3 quarters, right? It was
Yeah, it
the
was the rookie out of Syracuse, man. Evan Clemens only played 1 year in college,
him.
and he looked
So
really good.
he looked really good. So I think that goes back to what we've been saying about the coaches. I think he's found a book that sort of fits, sort of works. But I think my big takeaway outside of the game, off the field, is we talked about on the podcast beforehand that there's concerns that Owen Jack may not be resigned over this looming contract. He's Patreoning Matt Smith, and then Matt Smith doesn't even play.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So I'm hoping we get to see him in weeks 2 and 3. Because that I don't understand what Frankie's doing, but maybe he's just a better coach than me and knows what's going on, knows something I don't.
Yeah,
But it
I
was a great game from the Crusaders, man. Or not the Crusaders, the Dreadnoughts. Loved the Crusaders starters. Um, of the Dreadnought starters, great back and forth battle. Just the Dreadnoughts had more depth in the end. So it's hard to, like you said, really compare these teams when we don't know everything about them yet.
Yeah, big shout out has to go to Badir Ajalani. He was a running back for the Celtic Tigers. I think for majority of his careers, I think he started out though with the Voyagers. Things didn't go all too well there. Got traded early in his career. Spent a good time, in Dublin with the Celtic Tigers. Had some really good opportunities to show off, his ability with the football in his hands, and he was explosive as you seen him in this game. I mean, he had 3 rushing touchdowns, including a long 39-yarder where he just weaves straight through the defense. We know he's got some serious speed, and he's got great break and tackle ability. Um, and he just carved his defense up over 100 yards rushing as well. And I really like you said earlier, what I saw out of Evan Clemens. Is this going to be a guy though we're going to see as a backup or anything? I doubt it. Very low overall, but it's good to see a guy like that in the getting a preseason opportunity and making the most out of it. Because you never know. Maybe Frankie one day says, he goes through what you're talking about and says, we want to move on from Owen Jack. I got this young generic guy, and maybe this is a guy I should be Patreoning next year to turn into something. Of course, that's risky to do, but you just never know. Coaches are going to try to do their own thing. And again, I really like what I saw out of Ben Wakefield in that offense. I mean, he only had limited time, a quarter to go out there and make an impact on the field, and he threw 2 touchdown passes and was just driving with ease down the field against that Dreadnought secondary with Colt Cruz. I said Colt Cruz, Alexander Colt, and his tight end Jackson. So I mean, he was just getting it done, man. It's a great job by him. Moving on, we went to the 6 p.m. What is that?
Yeah, I said Matt Smith. It's Matt Jones,
Yeah, yeah,
the
Matt Jones.
quarterback.
Yeah, moving on to the 6 p.m. Eastern Wednesday premiere games. We had at the Baltimore Gunners versus the Austin Armadillos. Final score was 28-23. We got our first look at Nyshawn Miller. It looked like I ain't trying to roast him, but out there with all that equipment on, man, guy looked like a Pop Warner quarterback out there, getting it done though. He threw a deep touchdown bomb too, and this was a guy who really struggled with the deep ball in the RFL College Series. As we know, one of his biggest weakness was his arm strength, but he managed to soar it deep over the field on a running back wheel route that went for a great touchdown. The Gunners were getting pretty much stomped kind of early on in the game, and then really like what we saw out of Ryan Brinker. He almost was able to pull him back and beat his old coach. Had some really great flashes. Looked like he's going to be a great backup quarterback just in case anything happens to Tyon Nickerson. But what's your takeaways from this matchup?
It's just that this was really just a showcase. The Nashon to show that he's the future after Chumley here in Austin. Like you said, played a great game. It's a little funky being 5'9" with all the accessories on, but obviously he got the job done. So I'm excited to keep seeing him, how he progresses. See if Roland decides to roll in and start him this year for whatever reason. That could be exciting. But I think the biggest thing for me, and Tyon's not gonna like to hear it. For a lot of quarterbacks, I think the offensive line, especially this year in this match, is going to be exposed.
Yeah,
If you do not have a good O line, you will be sacked a lot, and we saw that a lot throughout a lot of these games. The Gunners are just notoriously right now have the worst offensive line in the league.
yeah,
And as he just played Isaiah Ingram, one of the best defensive ends in the league. So as the Gunners go through this season, it's going to be rough until these offensive linemen start to progress.
yeah. And another person to shout out for this. I mean, it's not a real life person, but a generic that came in, really made a name for himself. Won a national championship with LSU. Jamie LaRue uh, was killing. Out of that slot, had a lot of big catches. He's able to haul in 8 receptions, 79 yards, had a touchdown. And he was just very impactful, making big play after big play. So it was very interesting to see his impact on the field. I could see him being, somebody down the line that they utilize, especially out of that slot, making an immediate impact like that. That's really what you want to see. We didn't see too much of MVG, the tight end for the Armadillos, the backup. We know how explosive he was with Nyshawn Miller at the tight end at Texas, excuse me. Only had 37 yards on 3 catches. But again, we did see some really good things out of Nyshawn, which we had those question marks on. How's the arm down the field going to look? Is he going to be able to see over the line? Is he going to be able to, make some moves? Of course, it's only one game against backups, but a lot of time to develop, and we'll see what not Rodney, but what Roland does with him moving forward. And of course, Chumley looked pretty good too. He had some nice connections with old veteran wide receiver Maurice Darman, and had a pair of touchdowns too. So that was a great game. Same time as that game, we had the Shamrocks and the Aviators. Our first look at KC Robinson. They fell short by 14 points. Only were able to put up 14 points themselves. 28-14 is the final score. Shamrocks were expected to win this one. Takeaways from this and KC's performance.
I think Casey had a pretty okay performance. He had that big rushing touchdown. I think that put the Aviators up 14-3 or something like that. Um, and then they just couldn't hold on to the lead. Obviously it was backups versus backups. The Aviators the lowest overall team in the league. Um, but if Casey's going to be the starter, and run with the starters, be expected to be on a starter level, he has to learn from this kind of game where you have a lead early, you have a two-score lead early, and you have to keep it. Doesn't matter who you're playing with, you got to keep it. But outside of that, I think it was a great game between the two. I'm blanking on the. 'Cause I remember I recorded this game on the running back who's in the picture. I'm blanking on his name, but I know he had a
Isaiah
huge
Allen.
game.
Yeah, he tore it up.
Mullen. Because I know the picture was like his 35-yard touchdown. The
Mm-hmm.
Aviators could not stop him on the ground at all. This is going to be a huge year for running backs in Madden as well. As you could see, there was almost a 40-yard rushing touchdown almost every game. But the Shamrocks just ran down the Aviators' throat.
Yeah, it was a great performance from Isaiah Allen too. Kind of a forgotten back, obviously not the starting guy, but he is a backup to Saeed Gore. Played at Miami in the RFL College Series, and again he had a pretty monstrous year too. I think he was a one and done guy as a generic, and Isaiah Allen ended up, and landing on the Shamrocks, being this backup role, and he's been killing it. So shout out to him. Great performance there. Nice back they can lean on, just in case anything down the line, happens to Saeed Gore. Looked very good in that matchup. But again, you're going up against a team that does not have the craziest of defensive players, still working on that area. Again, like you said, one of the worst rated teams in the league. Actually is the worst rated overall team in the league. So looked good when he was supposed to. So we're going to see, if that can carry over, whenever they need help. And then at 8 p.m. Eastern, one of the two games, we had the Black Knights versus the Thunderbirds. Black Knights were able to get the victory, 23-20. They were expected to win this by, I believe, that same margin of 3 points. It was a 2.5 spread. Black Knights, though, what's your thoughts on this preseason win over the Birds?
My biggest thoughts for this game is I wish that the starters played all 4 quarters. We
Yeah,
finally get to see ESJ. We get Cube Hawk on the Thunderbirds offense, and they get a quarter. And we get to see Mari come back, and he gets a quarter. We get two-time MVP Gino Gannon, and he gets a quarter. So this is just a game where felt like the first quarter just teased me.
yeah,
It ended up being a good game, close game. The rookies did their things, but this is just one of those games where I wanted to see more from everybody.
yeah. Yeah, it was pretty interesting. We knew it was going to get. They were expected. The Black Knights were expected to win this one, based off the spreads, mainly because of the depth when it comes to the quarterback. Granted that Mitchell, the backup running quarterback for the Thunderbirds, he may be a 66 overall. Nothing flashy to look at on paper. Last preseason, he went off too. So Mitchell Grant, he did his thing. Had a deep touchdown pass to Calvin Lewis, who they picked up, I believe, this year, if not last, out of free agency. And he played at Oregon. Was a big body wide receiver. He can also shock you with some speed down the field, as he did the Black Knights on that play. And at the end of the day, we also got to see a touchdown, one-on-one moment. Talk about ESJ and Amari Harris. Got that one-on-one matchup in the red zone, and Amari Harris able to get the best of him. Of course, you need a top-tier quarterback to place that ball based off the smallest of gaps that you're going to get of separation from ESJ anyway. And yeah, Geno Gannon placed it there. They were able to put the points up right there. So that was great to see. But nothing really too much, like you said. Just really wanted to see more, from this offense, from these teams, because they're just an interesting bunch, especially the Thunderbirds, of what they were able to acquire, and just the young, explosive offense of Geno Gannon over there in London with the Black Knights. The other game, the Miners versus the Tigers. Tigers are a team that I think many guys are starting to pay attention to, mainly because I don't. It was like this last year, but I don't think guys really notice how decent of a team overall they were. 87 across the board team, and they look pretty good here. With the Stars, I believe it was just 3-0 with that one quarter, and then it kind of got away. And the Tigers were able to put up 21 more points to the Miners 7 and win it here 24-7. Thoughts on this matchup?
I think this game really just came down to. I think people sleep on the Tigers because they don't really have any like star standout top five player at his position in the league like other teams do.
Yeah.
They have Parker Brockers, but no one thinks he's top five. And they have Jocko Goliath. Those are probably their best two players overall.
Mm-hmm.
No one considers them best at their position. But everyone on that team is at least top 15, top 10.
Yeah.
So they don't have any huge superstars, but everyone across the board is an above average starter. And so when that happens, it kind of trickles down to their backups. Whereas you look at the Tigers offensive line, who a lot of people say is the best in the league, they could probably have a starting five with their backups and still be
Yeah.
middle of the pack. And so, that's what happens. You end up with a Billy Johnson for the Tigers versus Kurt Peterson. And Billy Johnson just has more time, can find his weapons open more, can establish a run game easier. This just came down to a battle of depth. Like you said, it was 3-0 after the first quarter with the starters. And the Tigers just showed how they built their team and why they built their team this way. And I think they're going to surprise some people this year.
Yeah. And I think the 1-2 punch to look forward to with the Tigers is, of course, that backfield, because Ian Cash, who on the team with his brother, ironically, uh, able to swing that, get that going, and him in the backfield with Drake Sandstrom. And these are two running backs that can catch the ball very well out the backfield and make plays. So I'm looking forward to see how that's going to look. They did a pretty good job too, on Steve Washington. Of course, he wasn't really out there with the starters like that, but the run game was pretty much concealed for the Miners completely. So that was something that kind of stood out. We did get to see that guy Ezekiel Kuhn though, that Coach
We
Dunn
did.
draft, make some plays. He had a 62-yard reception in the game, over 100 yards. I mean, he did his thing. And then Hakeem Prince, user, submitted wide receiver, who he was over there with the Marshalls. Didn't really get no playing time. Coach Hodge just really couldn't see a situation where he's going to be able to touch the field anytime soon. And he's still kind of in that position, but more of a chance to touch the field based off of his work ethic, the type of reloads and things he could get. So it was good to see him come out as a player, get 67 yards and a touchdown. Of course, out of those 67 yards off the 5 catches, one of them was for 51 yards, but still impactful player. Interested to see, what his journey is going to look like with the team. And that was it for the Wednesday games. Thursday premier games started out 4 p.m. Eastern with the Elks and the Hogs. This is a great, close, competitive 2-point game where the Elks were able to get the best of the Hogs, 24-22. We got to see a limited time of newly acquired quarterback now in his third team, and Jacob McCall. And Jacob McCall, he looked really good, man. He had the one touchdown pass. And then one thing I really liked too was the backup unit with Luke Poor. This is a guy, if you want to talk about a real grind, a guy who's been here, accepting his role and still working, just when given the opportunity, going to get ready to get his name called on, is Luke Poor, man. Came out here, 3 touchdown passes as well to help lead his team. It was just a great thing to see, for that guy. Always like to see when he gets those opportunities to be able to put on a show. And I'm not gonna lie, most times you see Luke Poor get in, he puts on a great show. I say he had 3 touchdown passes. He actually had two. Forgot, Call had the other one. But
Yeah.
yeah. And then we got to see, with the Hogs, they had Lane Kearney, who they picked up. Your former quarterback, and he got to play for 3 quarters. Couldn't lead him to a victory though, but of course he was playing with some backups. Thoughts on how this game looked?
You pretty much took it all. I think this was just a real quarterback heavy game talk. Bringing in a guy like Lane Kearney, who's an 88 X factor, to be behind a sub 80 overall second year player, speaks a lot to the Hogs want to see Ronnie Shanahan do something. They don't want to be a bottom offense again. And then just getting to see Jacob McCall work with his new weapons and Roy Kincaid, a former rookie of the year, Mason Dunn, one of the better tight ends in the league. Just a lot of young weapons. With their running back, they have Darius Martin, right?
Uh, for yeah, Darius Martin for the Elks. That's
Or am I
their
thinking
starting back.
Darius Martin for the L?
Mhm.
Yeah, only getting one corner, but it is nice to see McCall in a new situation. You
Mhm.
know, just just free to kind of do his thing. And like you said, the big story for me, like you brought up, was just Luke Poor. Every time he gets to get in, he just kind of balls out and he's just waiting for a shot.
Yeah, and one last shout out for an impactful player in this game in which Poor was throwing to. I mean, Jay Watt. This is a guy, you don't see on the field obviously because he's not a starting guy, but he has some tremendous deep threat ability. And the 2 touchdowns that Luke Poor was able to score was off of 2 deep bombs, and those were contested catches as well. So it's good to see, a guy who was just as impactful in the college series at North Carolina, do the same thing, have over 100 yards receiving and those 2 touchdowns on 4 catches. So half his receptions, he was able to find the end zone. So, shout out to Jay Watt. He was a user submitted player, not active anymore, no longer in the server, but player still out here rolling, making plays. At 4 p.m. Eastern, along with that, we had the Lumberjacks getting the best of the Celtic Tigers. Final score was 24-10. Uh, Thoughts on this matchup? Actually, I believe we had the Celtic Tigers as the favorites to win, but a 14-point victory for the Jacks.
Yeah, this is just one of those games that you could just kind of feel the Celtic Tigers drop off in depth. They were a team that was just in the Real Bowl, but we talked about last week how a lot of older players with a lot of regression. The first quarter they put up a fight, but once the backups got in, they just couldn't hold their own anymore. Now, shout out Matt Nayani for getting a catch in like the third quarter.
Mhm.
Trey Worsley getting some work in the latter parts, which you never would have seen prior to this year.
Yeah.
Harris Polo didn't look terrible, but definitely threw the game away there at the end. The Lumberjacks, I was really happy to see with. I mean, obviously he's been replaced now, but Fontenez didn't look bad out there with the backups. I loved seeing the guy I traded over there in Drew Blaze. I believe he scored, so nice to see that he's doing well over there. But you gotta do something with these depth charts, man, because I saw Chase Schilling all over Paris Polo all in that second half, man.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah. Blaze only had 1 catch for 12 yards, and from what I'm reading on here, but he's definitely gonna be an impact. I think he only got to play the 1 quarter, but even with that 1 quarter that he got to play, uh, what I really liked, even though he only got to throw the ball 9 times, was Jordan Granger again. We saw his impactful rookie season, and to come out look as good again in just that short amount of time and throw a touchdown pass, no interceptions. I mean, again, it's showing you this looks to be that generational talent at that quarterback position for this franchise. So I can't wait till he's working full time with those starters on the field. But nothing too much more to really get out of this game. Lumberjacks just handling business. Then we go to the 6 p.m. Eastern games. The Barons, new look, great draft class coming into this season, getting the best of the Sentinels, 23-20. Uh, Takeaways from this, I mean, we got to see Jabri Jackson, and he looked really good. We got to see the rookie uh, Nick Okwin. He looked very good, and some great things we saw from the Barons, and some good things we saw from the Sentinels too. But what things stood out most to you?
I think if the Barons can keep this up, I think they have a real shot to win the North this year. Um, they looked like a completely different team now that they have Jabri out there instead of going between Brinker and Dorian. Dorian had a good game, but if the Barons can really figure things out, I think they're going to be scary in the NRC this year. And then for the Sentinels, I believe Devin Diggs, obviously traded from my team, was traded there like 12 hours before the game was played.
Yeah.
So or having a limited time to go out there and make something happen with him. It was kind of fun to see. He's calling himself the future in Discord. I'm not sure he knows that DWJ is only like 26.
No, no, he's 29.
Oh, oh, he is. Is he really that
Yeah.
old?
Yeah, he's 29. He's got a long
28.
contract though.
28. Yeah, yeah, 28. DWJ's 28 with 5 years left. Um, but yeah, hopefully Diggs can have himself a Luke Poor kind of development where he stays around, he keeps dubbing his player. He seems committed to his player, which is good to see. But just not really much more to talk about between these two teams.
Yeah, I got a couple things I definitely want to get into. I seen Frankie. Well, it looks like he's retracting it now. Yeah, it was an error where the game didn't save, but this was the official score of what actually happened in the game. So we just had to give the Barons the auto win. So that's the reason why the score is different within the file compared to what was actually streamed. But how about Talon Ross, man? First game, getting in three
Oh,
quarters, and this game looked like it was just about to
yeah.
be a tie at 20. And you saw Dorian Chavis with a deep bomb placed right over the shoulder as Ross was able to beat two defenders and set them up in game-winning position off the field goal. So Talon Ross already showing you the impactful player that he was meant to be. The Barons getting everything they needed out that draft and the trade with Q. It looks like everyone got what they wanted. Of course, Q's on a team that he's really excited about, loves his teammates, on a team that he feels is going to be able to win the games traditionally like they have been throughout their franchise. And then, Talon Ross coming and being that speedster in which, you know, um, Q was, and he showed immediately first game that impact that he was able to have using that speed and the good hands. So I mean, that was a great performance by him. You did see Devin Diggs, throw three interceptions in this game, but I mean, he still had his moments. Yeah, yeah. Maybe I'm reading this wrong. Yeah, I'm reading this. I don't even know why I'm reading this stat line because this is not actually. So he did
Oh
not
yeah,
throw three
he was.
interceptions. Yeah, I don't know why I'm reading this off. So,
Yeah.
yeah, just from my memory, he did not throw three interceptions. So I'm sorry about that. So I don't know why I'm reading that off. But I was about to say he did not look that bad from what I remember. I don't even remember him throwing an interception. I don't think he threw an
Like I didn't
interception.
see that.
Good thing this is a preseason too, man. So that's not going to count against you. Well, actually, I guess it will. But yeah, it's not gonna hurt your grade.
I don't think morale is a thing in preseason, so it's
Yeah,
not gonna
so
like hurt.
yeah, so you're straight. But yeah, he actually didn't play all too bad. I'm gonna say that. Did not play all too bad. Um, and it was a close game, man. Ended very cinematic. That's all I can say. And then the other 6 p.m. game we had the Bulls and the Snowhawks. The Snowhawks falling short on the road in Brooklyn against those Bulls. 28-20 was the final score. Uh, you got to see, the game plan of assistant coach Nicky Flames, as we like to call, well, as Roland coined him. But we'll see, how much of an impact. Now he doesn't have full reign of everything with this team, but during the preseason, able to put in some books, and they got a pretty sound victory here in this preseason over the Snowhawks. Takeaways from this game that you saw.
My takeaways mostly from the Snowhawk side. Um, Danny Johnson definitely has that gunslinger mentality.
Yeah,
You saw him just ripping it all over the field, any which way.
yeah.
Oh,
350
am I
passing
still there?
yards. Yeah, you're.
Yeah, yeah led the led all passers in yards in week one. The real standout though was Zach Jeremy. I
Yeah,
think both catches in the fourth quarter, just two huge go up and get them jump balls, set the team up great. I think one was for a touchdown
yeah. He mossed the guy,
where he
broke a
just
tackle, and was gone. 81
and then took
yards.
it to the end zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, Zach Jeremy was the real standout from him. Trying to take Peacon's spot, as that third receiver. I made a joke with Peacon earlier that I was able to get some pictures of him, but it wasn't what he thought. I don't know if anyone noticed. In the fourth quarter when they were going hurry up, they were in empty, and Pecan got motioned into as the running back and got a carry for like 4 yards, and they made that a highlight play. So he's got some pictures as a rusher. But yeah,
Yeah.
and just you go ahead.
Nah, go ahead. Wasn't really none. I was just about to segue into the next game, really.
I was gonna say when it comes to the Bulls, Nick put in some books and beat a good team. So just shout out to him.
Yeah. Uh, good victory right there, preseason wise for the Bulls. Interested to see what they do. We saw a pair of touchdowns too from Bernard Hayes. I don't know if guys remember him from Alabama. He was a backup running back then. Uh, Interested to see what how he'll be utilized in the future. But yeah, solid win right there for the Bulls, as you already touched on with Danny Johnson, and dude was slinging it. That's what you want to see from him. And the 8 p.m. games. Yeah, two last games left to go over for the premieres, and we have the Cougars and the Desperados. This was a very low-scoring slugfest. We saw 6 sacks from Keno Thedford in this game, wreaking havoc. And man, Dylan Lewis surviving it all, edging it out. That championship mentality he's looking to try to bring to the Cougars. And even though he got banged up, a lot of sacks and hits and situations where he was severely pressured, he came through where it mattered most, and threw a game-winning touchdown to Giovanni Tasker to win it 17-14. Thoughts on how the Cougars look, with their new guys and this game in general?
With this game with Dylan Lewis, I don't think Rob put in his playbooks and schemes and everything yet. I'm not sure. Last time I looked, I don't think he has. But Dylan Lewis ended this game with under 50% completion. Now, obviously, he was you were cheating and leaving in Keno Thedford for all 4 quarters and letting the backup lineman just get killed and let him get pressure in his face every play. It's also his first RFL game, so you gotta cut him a little slack. But
Thrown into the fire.
I just I want to see a little bit more than that. Obviously, like you said, championship DNA, went out there, won the game when it mattered. You got one in the win column. That's all you want, but 4 quarters against all starters, that performance isn't going to cut it. I'm sure Rob knows that. I'm sure he's going to fix things up like he needs to, and we're going to see a much better Dylan Lewis over these next weeks.
Yeah, he also had 82 yards on the ground. Didn't run one in, but I mean, he threw one in. No turnovers in terms of like interceptions. So, he did his thing. Um, and so that was very interesting to see, him still be able to carry over uh, that same style. It's always good to see a guy playing similar, from the ratings and stuff. But when they come in, so I really liked how it ended. It's just very Dylan Lewis like, like rough game, but dude's
Yeah.
gonna find a way to get out of there with the W. So big win right there for the Cougars. Hopefully this sparks these guys up, of course, for the rest of the preseason and coming into the season. We'll see what type of season it unfolds after the great acquisitions they were able to get from the draft. And of course, the final premier game before we get into the final game of the week, the Condors versus the Huskies. Corey Baines falling to be that franchise quarterback for the Condors after Chase McCoy, and he's able to help lead them to a victory over a solid depth Huskies team, 24-14. What did you see from him out of that game, and just in general out of this play? And a couple of players, we can mention Diamond Armani. He got to play around quite a bit, and Sina Anawai.
Yeah. Outside of mine, obviously, I think this was my favorite performance from a rookie quarterback this week. I just saw him spread the ball around all over. You saw him hit Rochester in between two or three players on a seam route for a nice 40-yard touchdown. He hit Enrique Bird a lot. I saw him get it to Rob Castillo a lot. Um, Greer made a lot of plays. Just watching him spread the ball around to all these different guys, like how he did at Oregon, made me feel really excited for when it's his turn. For the Huskies, I did not like how Calvin Poole looked in that first quarter. I do believe the starters scored, and it might just be week one preseason jitters, but I feel like Calvin Poole was holding onto the ball a lot. Um, and it could be the Huskies O line and him getting pressured. Um, but out of all the teams, I think I liked how the Huskies looked the least.
Yeah, they had some great impact. But I think the only things you really can take away from this is, what Corey Baines was able to do. I mean, 3 touchdown passes, like you said, spreading that ball around. Michael Rochester making plays, kind of a forgotten college series legend. Uh, well, I say legend, but an impactful player. Can't really say legend. They only played 1 quarter, 1 season, I'd say. Enrique Bird, he played 2 at Oklahoma, but these are 2 guys that are really battling it out for that spot to try to, touch the field. I just was talking about them, behind the scenes, in VC, who's going to really take that spot right now. Bird, of course, being that lead guy, since he's younger and slightly better overall wise. And we get to see both of them make that impact. I mean, it looks like the future's bright here for Corey Baines in terms of like what he's got to throw to. I mean, that's a 6'3" and a 6'4" target with crazy size on him. Clark Jaguar is not going to be here long, but he's got weapons and he's looking really good with them. So, uh, very interested to see what he's going to be able to do in the future of this franchise. Pretty much moving forward. I mean, this is his franchise after McCoy, especially if he keeps these type of performances up. And of course, we get to the game of the week. The Explorers versus Bulldogs. Definitely, I would say my favorite game of the week lived up to the hype. You saw everything in this game. You saw a defensive touchdown. You saw offensive touchdowns, of course. You saw a special teams touchdown, which was the play of the game, in my opinion. Kick return for a touchdown from the rookie out of Ohio State, Xavier Gibbons. And it wasn't just no regular just run touchdown. I mean, this guy ran down the field, put a move on a guy, outran everybody. That's something that I don't think nobody was expecting, especially from that guy. Not saying he was a bad player or anything, but got him back there returning kicks, and he was able to get it done. And you just saw the Bulldogs control this game in all phases of the ball. Again, they scored in all three. With the pick six too. That was really what flipped the script too for the game. On Everett Bradley, got a pair of interceptions from him. His second one came late in the game, trying to just put on a show and get some points on the board. But yeah, Bulldogs and Coach Bartman, his first game here in the preseason, getting it done, winning by 11, 37-26. Takeaways from Bartman, what you saw in that game, because he was definitely shifting personnel around. That's something, I've seen guys use personnel, but he did it in a lot of different phases of the game. Um, Thoughts on, that and
Yeah,
the
did he end up with like
Explorers.
3 quarterbacks?
I think he played all 4 quarterbacks. Like every quarterback
Yes.
on his roster played, and then they all made an impact. And Parkey, the undrafted rookie he picked up from free agency, scored a touchdown. Running. So yeah.
So yeah, Josh is the coach I was thinking about earlier, who used no abilities, used no play sheets, whether it was on purpose or not. Um, just said, "Hey, these are my schemes, these are my playbooks, and these are my players, and we're gonna win that way." He went out there and did that. Using his 4 quarterback method. Getting a double digit win here. And playing Drew Brewer at fullback. That was that was fun and interesting to see. From the Explorer side, this is just who Everett Bradley has always been. He's always been a guy who's just gonna throw it up, and hopefully it comes down to his team. And some games like this one, it goes to the other team more times. Big game from Bigby. We know the Explorers always have that nice rotating running back room where anyone can go off at any time. And the receiver here for the Explorers, it just reminds me why I love the RFL so much, because Leon James is not a guy that you hear about very often
Mhm.
unless you watch the RFL.
Yeah.
He's the third, fourth receiver on the Explorers. But that's someone that Bill used to love to talk about all the time, and how he makes little winning plays to influence the game when he does get in. And
Mhm.
so just seeing those kind of names again, that aren't Geno Gannon, Marquise Washington, Pavion Hall, Drew Brewer, Isaiah, like the little guys that just RFL's back.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely was interested to see. You pointed out Big B too. His performance was crazy. He first touched the game, took it to the crib. We saw the Explorers, answer back. We could tell, like, if this was the starters, all 4 quarters with these guys going at it, this was going to be a legendary game, as it ended up being anyway. And then the backups just continued that momentum moving forward. And it was just back and forth, big play after big play. Definitely lived up to all of its hype. Again, I really liked what I saw out of, Coach Bartman and his, use of personnel. I mentioned that a lot on during the stream. Already. I've seen other guys use their personnel, but I didn't see guys use it in that fashion. To spread it around. Now, is that going to be something that's sustainable moving forward, though? Past the preseason, we'll see. We've seen some other guys try that multiple quarterback method, and it failed miserably. But that was the first time I really seen it work. I did not see that happen. We go back to the Sentinel days, and they try to do a quarterback situation, and that didn't work out. But other guy, I think the Pioneers tried it too. Lancers tried it back in the day, who are now the Lumberjacks. So there's a couple teams that tried it, never worked out. It worked out that night though. That looked really good. Like all their useful skill set, their strong suits of their game was placed in a play where in a situation
And
where they were
remember,
going to be able to
they
execute.
didn't use
You said what?
they used a four quarterback system.
Yeah, 4 quarterback
So they
system.
didn't use a two quarterback system, they used a four quarterback system.
Yeah. So I mean, this guy stretched everything out, in terms of the play. I really liked Vic Cage use too, because this is a guy. I think if this is a person who really doesn't know about the coaching aspect of the game or Madden. I doubt it. Of course, he doesn't have a history knowledge like that of the league. But Vic Cage was a very impactful player in the early days of the RFL, and he utilized him in a way in which he was impactful in the past. This is one of the best pass catching running backs in league history. The last couple of years just has not been used as that. Just been sitting on the bench. If injuries happen, okay, there he goes. But you saw his impact off the rip. Wheel route, beating a guy, had a big reception, caught a screen after that. He's very great with the ball in his hands, catching out the backfield. Great receiving back and a dangerous returner too. So to see him get utilized that way, he just used everybody the correct way. So that was very interesting to see. And once again, and loved the game. Just saw everything in it, man. Amazing, amazing play. But that is it for the recaps of week 1 of the preseason, man. First week of RFL games in the book for the preseason. And next up, we've got, of course, week 2, which here I'm going to show up the schedule on what's to come. So Monday night, which is tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern. This might change. I got to talk with Rob. I forgot when he said he wanted to go start doing games at 8. This might be 7. But the I'm about to say Condor, Sacramento Miners on the road playing the New York Barons. That's going to be interesting. We saw the Barons get their win in the first preseason. Miners, they took their loss. They're looking to bounce back while being on the road. It's going to be very interesting to see there. I guess just like last time, let's go through, as I go through each one so we don't have to double back. Um, who are you looking for who are your standout guys you're looking for in this game, and who you think is going to come out on top?
Well, now that we're playing, starters are getting full halves now. I mean, I think it has to be Bree Jackson getting a full half with the starters in that first game. Him and see how he pairs with Amari Manuel and Marcus Young, and Talon Ross is their third receiver, right? He's starting in the starting three.
Yes.
Okay, so seeing how he meshes with those three guys, and then for the minors, it's going to be Piku McCullough. You know, he's going to get a full half year with Miles McCain. Um, and you want to see, is that trade going to show? Obviously, it's preseason, but early signs of, yes, this was a great idea. We needed this guy.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I have for who I have expected to win this game, of course, I'm gonna be putting these spreads and stuff out. Oh, I already got it in there. I'm gonna actually post it right now in the Discord for the RFL spreads. So everybody can, if you want to place bets down, you can. The spreads I have the Barons. A lot of just 2.5 spread wins here, man. But I got the Barons on top with the home field advantage. I like the way they look in the first half. We really didn't get to see too much from the Miners uh, because again, their final that their one quarter they got to play with their starters was just 3-0 and they didn't score anything. But with that road advantage, that's why I gave it to the Barons there. I'm gonna just let you, point out some guys, who you want to see. Well, actually, I'll still give some guys, of course, that are probably left out. But yeah, Talon Ross, I want to see how he looks in the first half with the ones, and if he could still be that impactful. I think that's going to be very interesting to see with Jabri Jackson and McCullough. Like you said, I agree. Okay, Tuesday game, you're going to be in the booth calling this one in Portland. Bulldogs and the Snowhawks. Bulldogs got their win. Snowhawks did it. Uh, how are things going to go here? Who are the key players to look out for?
I think for both teams, it has to be their running back.
Yeah,
Jacob McDonald with I just looked at his name, Matt Wheaton.
Matt Wheaton. Yeah.
Yeah, Jacob McDonald versus Matt Wheaton. Matt Wheaton has been a top 5 rusher for the last 3 years, I believe. So has Jacob McDonald,
Mm-hmm.
getting a full half where we've seen running backs dominate. I want to see them dominate. I want to have a nice old school football kind of matchup between these two guys. Outside of that, I want to see Russell Shackelford make some more plays for the Bulldogs, and I'm hoping for my boy Pecan to get more than one catch this week.
Yeah, he'll be out there with the starters this time. So out there with Joseph Gibbs. To point out some guys, I really want to see. Uh, Already blanking. Yeah, Danny Johnson. I know it's just the second half and his backups, but I want to see Danny Johnson again make an impact. With the offense. Um, and finish this game for the Snowhawks. And then also at the quarterback position again for the Bulldogs, I want to see Tajay Gaddy with the starters. How's he going to look against the starting unit of the Snowhawks and their tough defense? So those are my key guys. Having the spreads, the Snowhawks winning this one on the road with their depth and stuff. So they didn't get it done against the Bulls, but you never know, might get it done here. They got that home field advantage. But following that game, Pecan in the booth. Again, I'll let you guys know if anything changes. But the Steamers are going to be hosting the Bisons. Both of these teams, well, the Bisons didn't get their win. We saw the Steamers get it, but both of these teams, some exciting players to look forward to in this matchup. And who do you think in your opinion, who do you think those guys should be?
Similar to the previous game, it's the two backup quarterbacks, Jaden Young and the Steamers, C.J. Johnson, the Bisons. Two young quarterbacks who had great showings last week get to go against each other for a half this week. I want to see Jaden Young continue his success. And I want to see CJ Johnson make Torres more and more uncomfortable for a spot.
Yeah, and as for the Bisons, the traditional picks would be, of course, C.J. Johnson because of how he's looking with the potential or controversial quarterback battle that guys are looking to see if that turns into something with Torres. So you already picked that one, and then of course you could go with the Bo Sanders. Bo Sanders, showed himself and his abilities last week. Want to see him be able to show that consistency and do it again. But another guy I think, to shed some light on. is the wide receiver Mamadou Sanyalo. He's going to be with the ones. We saw his impact. Again, he only had 36 yards, but those 36 yards looked really good and the opportunities he was given. So how's that going to look against the starting unit when he's got other help out there with other receiving targets to get him his one-on-ones? I think that's going to be a key person to look out for, and of course Jaden Young. But I want to see Brian Schneider, potentially make some more impact plays as well. And so I have the Steamers though with their depth getting it done, going to 2-0 in the preseason, a 3.5 spread. Then we get into Premier games: Pioneers versus Crusaders. In this game, Kyle Bain will be running with the ones, and so we want to see what that looks like. We want to see how Javier finishes. He will be starting though in the last preseason game, so it is a quarterback battle going on right now to see what's happening. But yeah, thoughts on the key players to look out for in this one?
If Kyle Bain's going to be starting, I think I'm gonna have to go with DJ Evans and Farrell Rains as the guys to watch out for. I know a lot of the Pioneer guys have been pushing for Javier to be the starter, but if Kyle Bain come out here and make an impact with the starting receiver group, I wonder if that changes things. For the Crusaders, I'm gonna be a little biased and I'm gonna pick Dre Willis.
Yeah,
He's in a new spot after being traded there. He's playing a slightly different position. I think he plays. Did you move him? Oh, he's at edge now. Never
yeah,
mind. So he's at edge. I just want to see how he does on his new team. See if he can make an impact. I also want to see Marlon Marshall, the stud young running back for the Crusaders, who made a lot of plays last year for them.
yeah. As you talked about, well, as I talked about earlier for the Crusaders, Ben Wakefield is a guy. We saw how he made it look easy last week offensively. Can he be that consistent against the Pioneers? I know the Pioneers are looked at again still as a team never made the playoffs, weekend bottom of the team, a bottom of the league team. But that is a tough defense, and they proved that for the last couple of years. That you're not just going to run over the Pioneers like in years past. So I want to see how he fares against that starting unit. And then, of course, the eyes got to be on Santana. Are you going to be that guy to close the game? He did not earn any reloads or anything like that during the offseason. So, now he's in this position where, the keys was handed to him, and now he's going to have to fight to prove that he deserves, to be that guy. Kyle Bain is an aging guy, so I mean, it should be, in the bag for him to try to, do that. But he's got to prove those points that, he can make the most out of his situation and make the plays. And so we'll see what takes place in that 4 p.m. game. But at the same time, we have the Elks and the Sentinels going off against each other. Who are your key players to look out for there?
Key players for this one is the Sentinels defensive line and Aiden Phillips, Lennox Malone, and Xavier Beckford. The Elks have one of the worst offensive lines in the league. Jacob McCall was the most sacked quarterback last year. When he was starting. So I want to see with the Elks drafting Casey Chestnut to help bolster that offensive line, seeing how that matchup plays out, see how much McCall's grown from that, and then for the Elks, I'm really excited to see Mason Dunn. He's been one of my favorite young tight ends in the league for a while.
Yeah. Elijah Carter. That's a guy I want to see. He was known to be a hitter in college, even though he played cornerback, and he was popping guys last week. I want to see more of what he's able to do in coverage. Being out there, he should be with the ones where they talking about using him. I don't see him running it with backups. So we'll see him out there and see how good his coverage skills is. Against that starting unit. That's my key for the Sentinels. And of course, Jacob McCall. We want to see more consistency. You got an extra quarter, so 2 quarters to play. Let's make an impact. Let's see what you can do. Uh, for who I have slotted to win this one, I do have the Elks getting it done on the road, and so we'll see. If they get that done. Then at 6 p.m. Eastern, we have the Black Knights versus the Condors. Key players to look out for in there.
The Condors, this is just another guy who ended up playing a lot last week because of Madden's something that had going on. But seeing Aiden Freeman come out and make some plays. Aiden Freeman played a lot last week. I want to see him come and see if he's ready to try and make a defensive player of the year leap for the Condors, who are going to need it if they want to stay playoff bound, reloadable bound, like they were last year. And for the Black Knights, man, I'm ready to see Mari get at least a half, man. We saw him get that touchdown against ESJ. You know, he's going against the slightly worse secondary, so I just want to see him continue to grow as a young player.
Yeah, Noah Walker is going to be my guy to look out for the Black Knights. I want to see him and his impact on the ground. He's kind of similar like how we talk about with Marlon Marshall. Of course, a little bit more on the lower tier, but he was the same type of back, same type of same college they went to, and I just want to see him take over and be like, hey, I'm the guy for this franchise. So looking forward to see that. And then for the Condors, again, I want to see Corey Baines again. I want to see Corey Baines make an impact and close out the second half of this game. You know, and prove that, yeah, again, that this is my spot. I'm going to be the future moving forward next year. You know, with this franchise. So that's my keys there. 6 p.m. Eastern as well. The Aviators and the Gunners. These two of the lower end teams right now currently in the league that we are anticipating to have the more struggle season, I guess, in a sense, like one of the worst seasons at the bottom of the league for sure. But we got two young quarterbacks interesting to look out for, Casey Robinson and Tyon Nickerson. Outside of them, is there any other players you would like that you'd say would be key to look out for?
So Casey Robinson is going with the starters this week, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, obviously Casey. And I want to see more from Edward Schuler for from the Gunners. Just looking at their roster, I mean, I think he has a real chance if
They're the 3-4
they're in a
defense.
3-4, they're in a 3-4. I mean, I think he has a real chance with him, Wilson and Cage. You know, just looking at their roster of converting to a 4-3, because I think Schuler, once Dombrowski, who's 34, retires, is going to become good enough to where he needs to be on the field next season over whoever the third best D tackle is on the Gunners. So I want to see Schuler keep developing here for the Gunners.
Yeah, I want to see Xavier Savage for the Gunners, man. Really didn't get to hear much at all from him in his first game last week. And obviously that meant he must have been doing a good job, not really getting thrown to or anything like that. So I want to see if that's going to be the same deal or you just don't hear from him like we used to in college series because he's just strapping up like that. Or just like even if they test him, I want to see him make the plays and possibly see if he can catch Casey Robinson lacking. And of course, Casey Robinson, I mentioned him, but just to go away from that, I want to see Holly Jacklin. He's been an interesting linebacker that I think will be very impactful for this team. He's going to be running with the ones, so gotta see, his impact there with the defense with Devin Diggs as those ends as those off ball linebackers. Man, it's going to be very interesting, to see him and Diggs work together and what type of impact he'll be able to make for this defense moving forward. Bulldogs, excuse me. Yeah, okay, I messed up
It
here.
should be
Bulls and who? Bulls and Diablos. So yeah, I
Diablos.
gotta edit that. So it's supposed to be Bulls and Diablos. Um, Key player for your game to look out for here.
For my game, I'm gonna go with Duke Cushing and Tyreek McCall. They're currently having a position battle for the opposite edge rusher of Marvin Woolfolk. Obviously, Duke and McCall will be the edge rushers after Woolfolk retires, but they're currently battling to see who will take that spot for this season. And Colorado Rivers will be running with the starters for us this week.
Oh yeah, nice.
The For the Bulldogs, I just want to see more of Aro Matthews. He was kind of quiet last week, playing the Snowhawks up against another good set of receivers. I just want to see him and what he does.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I do want to see. more of like the run game of the Bulls. I mean, I understand that you guys got definitely got one of the better defenses, but uh, you know, we saw guys have trouble, stopping the run. Of course, this past week, which we talked about, and I want to see if David Jones is, still got something left in the tank, man. I mean, last season was his worst season in a good while. I think definitely his worst season in general. Just did not show that same explosiveness. So I want to see if they can establish a good run game against a team that is stacked defensively. Even though you guys gave up yards, again, more so that stuff happened after your starters were gone. I want to see with the starters there, can they get Jones going? For the Bulldogs, I mean for the Diablos, for you guys, I want to see Dior Gore, man. I want to see him make some big impactful plays through the air. We just didn't get to see that in that one quarter he got to play last week. So that's my impact players to look out for. Here goes a interesting rivalry for whenever it happens in the RFL. These guys both used to be in Dublin, Dublin Celtic Tigers and the Dublin Shamrocks. Now it's just the Dublin Celtic Tigers, and the Shamrocks have moved to Boston, but it's the Irish rivalry right here. The Celtic Tigers and Shamrocks match up. Who are your key players to look out for?
The Celtic Tigers, I'm gonna go Corbin Coast. He made a lot of good plays last week against the Lumberjacks. He had a big hit on one of the quarterbacks. I can't remember what quarter it was in, where picked him up and dunked him on the ground. So I want to see more from Corbin Coast. And for the Shamrocks, I want to see more plays from Michael King. I just these stars are finally back in. I want to see more plays from them.
Yeah, for the Celtic Tigers, I think I said this name before. You didn't mention him, but their first round draft pick, Tyrese Evans, and I want to see his impact off the edge, because that's a guy they're going to need to develop to be that to bring that tenacity back to the defense. I mean, the defense still last year was very good despite being aged out and just on paper looking like they weren't going to be impactful. But the Celtic Tigers always seem to find a way to be an impactful team on both sides of the ball. And I think Tyrese Evans is, a great fit for this team. I just want to see him wreak havoc off the edge there against the Shamrocks. And as for the Shamrocks, I want to see some explosive plays from Tom Wilson, man. His impact on the game as a dual threat. Can he lead this offense and make those big plays as we're accustomed to seeing him do? We'll see. And then we got the Red Dragons going into Thursday. Red Dragons versus the Desperados here. Key players to look out for.
For the Desperados, it's Marquise Washington, hands down. Finally getting to see him for a half, so I want to see that. And then for the Red Dragons, where's his name at? Tyler Henderson. He's kind of taken over. He's starting tight end from Storner. So I want to see how he's doing this season.
And for the Red Dragons, I'm gonna go with the guy who stood out last week that I mentioned, and that was Matty King. I want to see if he has another impactful game here. I didn't expect him to take off like that in his first game, and I want to see if he's got the ability to do it again, given the opportunities they give him. And as for the Desperados, I think you got to go with Rohan Boxy. He got an opportunity to play 3 quarters, but didn't really make an impact. We know he's a young rookie. His overall is not the highest and everything like that, but he will be out there with the starters starting that slot. So, will that be a big impact of him? Because that's what he's going to be on the field is starting slot with Marquise Washington throwing him the ball. I want to see if that elevates his game. Just having that caliber quarterback out there and the other surrounding talent around him to help him with his development. So that's my key players to look out for. Tigers and Hogs, key players.
I'm gonna go with Steve McCaskill for the Tigers. Kind of like the other receivers. I want to see Steve make more plays here. That's what he was brought in for because we're lacking receiver depth. The Hogs, it's got to be Ronnie Shanahan. Getting a full half of play coming in. I want to see how he's developed from last season to this season.
Yeah, definitely gotta go with Shanahan, but also I want to see key for the Hogs though as well as TSJ. Didn't really get to see him make as much impact in that second half and in those 3 quarters with Lane Kearney, the higher rated quarterback. I was hoping they'll be able to connect more, but now he's with Ronnie Shanahan in the first half, and I want to see if they're able to connect as we were expecting him to, which is why he was a first round draft pick for the Hawks. Playing for his hometown, and if he can make the undersized quarterback still look great with those big plays, especially having a bigger body out there on the field. He's the biggest of their starting receivers at 6'4", over 200 pounds. And for the Tigers, I want to see in a half, I want to see Kai Cash make an impact. Because, last season, I think the Tigers were in a lot of games. Yeah, they had an opportunity to be in a lot of games, but there was a lot of mistakes made by Cash with turnovers. And so, how well is he with, you know, taking care of the football in the first half against a team that was one of the best defenses in the league? Best defense, worst offense last year, so they were vice versa. And I want to see if he can, if he's gotten any better with his decision making and that ball security. Armadillos and Monarchs. And it goes Rodney again going up against another user coach. Got his dub last week against the Red Dragons. Does he get it done here against the Armadillos? Who's the key players to look out for?
The Armadillos, I'm going to go with their tight end, Matt Van Ginkel. I just want to see how Roland's going to get him involved. How much is going to be with the starters? How much is going to be with the backups? And then for the Monarchs, it's more of their secondary group as a whole. It's their strong suit. Now that the starters are getting a full half, I think how much of that strong suit's really going to be able to carry the Monarchs this season.
Yeah, you said Rodney, right?
Or well, I said his secondary, so
I was saying,
Tom
yeah,
Wood, Marco Wilcox, and Brandon McCullough.
yeah. I'm gonna say the coach. I'm gonna say, hey, Rodney, we want to see what type of impact you have here, man. All eyes, especially my eyes, they're on you. I want to make sure that this guy is, you know, again taking it serious. Going to be a guy who can work on the Monarchs and grow and learn how to be a solid coach within this league. You know, I want to see what he does if he can earn another win against a user coach. I mean, that's a great way to start out first couple of games. And as for Roland, of course, he's a veteran coach, so I'm not going to look for Roland to do. Roland's going to do what Roland do. I want to see another great performance from Nyshawn Miller to close out. Can he close out a game and get it done and look just as good as he did last week? That's my key guys. Dreadnoughts and Lumberjacks, takeaways. Well, not takeaways, but
I mean, for me,
key players.
I'm going to go with what you kind of did just there. It's going to be just what Frankie does at the quarterback position. Who's going to get the starter reps? Who's going to get the backup reps between um, Matt Jones, Owen Jack, and Evan Clemens? Between those three guys, just who is he thinking is going to be the starter, the backup, and the third string? And for the Lumberjacks, I'm thinking of it's that edge rusher. I can't think of his name.
Hassan
The
Bird.
rookie,
Hassan Bird.
Hassan Bird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to see more from Hassan Bird because I know on the especially the defensive line for the Lumberjacks, a lot of them are aging. I want to see him step up and kind of fill in that role.
Yeah, going with the Lumberjacks again. I want to see Jordan Granger, man. He looked good in that one quarter he got to play. Let's see him continue to look as good as he did last year as a rookie here in his second year, showing that he is really that guy at the quarterback position and can lead this offense still like it ain't nothing and put that pressure of that that potential sophomore slump season behind him and still lead this team to a successful year. Um, for the Dreadnoughts, I'm gonna go with JoJo, man. I think that was your guy you picked last week. I'm going with him this week mainly because he definitely had a lot of welcome to league moments in his first game.
Mhm.
And I want to see him work through those still and make some impactful plays, in the Dreadnoughts whenever, given an opportunity if he's targeted. So I want to see what he's able to do out there on the field, that defense. The last two 8 p.m. games, we got Reload Bowl rematches, man. We got the Season 7 Reload Bowl rematch and the Season 4 Reload Bowl rematch. Voyagers and Explorers and the Huskies and the Thunderbirds. I guess we could group these up. What's your takeaways from the Voyagers Explorers game and then Huskies and Thunderbirds?
Voyagers, I already said it in the game recap. Got to be Monty Wyatt. This season's all about Monty Wyatt, so we'll see more from him. And then for the Explorers, I want to see Caleb Houston go out there and make some plays. Then we're doing both games, right? Huskies.
Yeah, you could add them. So
All right, for the Huskies, I want to see Diamond Armani find himself more comfortable in their defense. See where he's going to be playing, how much he's going to be playing, whether it's going to be free, strong, sub linebacker, starters, backups. Just seeing how he fits into the flow of their defense. And then for the Thunderbirds, I getting going back to their game recap, I want to see a full half of QPOC integrated into their offense.
yeah. For the Voyagers, again, I want to see, um, I'd say their newly acquired receiver to see if he can, kind of step up some more and make some plays. And Calvin, Chris Harris, excuse me. Um, just want to see him develop and become a guy, especially that I know that since I know Coach Baker's invested in him, he's putting his Patreon towards him, so he really is expecting him to become, a future standout guy. So I really want to. I'm interested to see his development there and what he can be for them. For the Explorers, um, man, again going back to those cornerbacks, Brian Robinson played a heck of a first game in the preseason. Had some breakups. It's just all over the place. I want to see him all over the place again. As their first draft pick of the first round this past year, and even Tayshaun Wiggins. I don't think we heard Tayshaun Wiggins' name get called at all in the last game, but yeah, he'll be a guy we'll see finishing out, and I want to see his impact there as well. The Huskies. You talked about him, Calvin Poole. I want to see how he's looking against the starting unit of the T-Birds defense and how he's able to, stand in that pressure against that defense, man, because that's going to be one of the best defenses that's going to generate that pressure. How is he going to be able to handle that? Can he get the ball out to his receivers, to be able to score? And for the Thunderbirds, again, you hit on the receivers. Um, and honestly, I'm gonna say this. I know it's not an impactful guy like he's gonna do anything on the field, but I want to see what Mitchell Grant does again, man. If things break down and LC3 is gone, this is the guy. They don't have any money to sign a different quarterback, so I mean Mitchell Grant
Yeah.
is the guy, and so he's always coming in making plays. I want to see if he can continue to do that. I know it's against backups again, but I just want to see if he has that spark like we've been seeing. And then we get to the last game, the game of the week. Cougars and the Marshals going at it. Yeah, head coach and coach Rob Roby and a former player of his, well, still current player of his, but now turned coach after last season halfway through, and Darius Hodge. And first time these guys are going at it, man. And so I know it's a preseason game, but the starters getting to play for a half. This is going to be fun to watch. Both teams getting the victory too. The first preseason game. With your key players.
So I'm guessing you just don't like Hodge.
Why is that?
I mean, you had him play on Monday last week. Now he doesn't play again until Friday this week.
Yeah,
You're
it's a
just
long
making him
wait.
have this 2 week gap between. But for the Cougars, I'm gonna go with the receiver that they traded for from the Armadillos, Chris Braun.
Chris
I'm gonna go
Braun.
with
Yeah.
Chris Braun. Yep, I'm gonna go with Chris Braun for the Cougars. He's gonna get a full half here with Dylan Lewis. Obviously, or at least I'm assuming Dylan Lewis is gonna get the first half with the starters. So
Mhm.
seeing their connection there. And then for the Marshals, I'm gonna go Vince Reed. He's just been a really interesting extra dynamic they've added to this offense to give Ward a break. So I'm gonna see how Reed does.
All right, for this, another interesting fact too. I was actually going to put this on Monday, but of course you guys already know who's can't have Rob calling his own game, so that's the reason I got pushed to Friday. But yeah, the Cougars, I want to see. You said Dylan Lewis already, right? Yeah, I
Well, I
think you
said
did.
Braun was
Okay. Well, yeah, I guess I'll do a little too. So Dylan Lewis for sure. I want to see what he looks like with the ones, which I think he's going to be more impactful. And then with that, I want to see Jack Sky, man. I want to see Jack Sky. So as long as Jack Sky, he didn't see anything or hear anything bad happen from him last week. So yeah, I want to see Jack Sky and Dylan Lewis be impactful. With the starting ones in the first half, and of course within that first half for the Marshals, I want to see Leo Moon again. He looked really good in the opening game of the season against the Bisons. Can he look consistent again against the Cougars defense? Again, we know this is a young group. They're developing. But yeah, they still always had a pretty solid defense. Defense hasn't really never been too much of the problem with the Cougars. The last couple of years has been like the offense, which is why I brought up Dylan Lewis. But I want to see Leo Moon show that sharpness and pre-snap reads of what's going to be there. Can he really shred a defense apart? We'll see. But that is it for our recaps and key players to look out for preseason week 2. A whole half of play to go, guys. And with that being said, our last topic to go over is the fun facts with Pat. So let's go ahead and get it. 3 questions we got this week. And so
Right.
here they go. All right, question number 1. Oh, let me turn off this thumbnail. Uh oh, wrong thing, my bad. Question number 1. The most watched preseason game in RFL history was at the start of season 9 between 2 NRC teams. Who were they?
Explorer steamers. Explorers T-Birds.
Sir.
Diablo steamers.
Nope.
Snowhawks Explorers.
Nope. It's not.
Diablo's T-Birds.
No, sir. I think guys might miss this one.
And watch it be like the Gunner Shamrocks.
All right.
Diablo's Explorers.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Still have not seen anything in the chat. And so, with that being said, here they are. It was the DC Marshals and the
Marshall
Baltimore
Gunner.
Gunners. Yeah, I believe that was the
I was
opening
right.
game of preseason week 1 of season 9. So yeah, that game was lit. I remember that game. That game was definitely fire. I was going to question number 2. Nobody got the 500 there. Got 1,000 more reloads to potentially hand out though. Question 2. Who is the only quarterback to start in multiple bowls without winning them? He did win a reload bowl when he wasn't starting.
He's been to 3. I think I know who this is. I think I know who this is.
Hey, don't say nothing.
Albane.
Nope. Not gonna give too much time on this one because I do think. Oh yeah,
LC3.
Chrome got it. Yep, it was Leonard Corban the third. LC3. Yeah, LC3. He lost the Reload Bowl and Reload Bowl 4 and of course Reload Bowl 8. And then he won the Reload Bowl, well, before those seasons in season 3. And he didn't even get to play in it. So he was injured right before that game. So he never got to play in a Reload Bowl, start and win it. But he's got a championship. And I remember that season 3 season, man. He was going off. He went crazy. And just couldn't play in that championship game. Good thing Kyle Bain, we saw guys saying at first, actually was the guy who got him that ring, finished it off. All right, last question. We have Trey Worsley has 13,808 career rushing yards. Shivers Cloud, and Barry have retired. Who is the second in career rushing yards among active players?
This is an easy question, but that probably means I'm wrong. Houston Kenny, Davion Hall, or
No, only
Leonidas.
30 seconds for this one.
Well, those would have been my top three guesses too. So I was wrong. Matt Wheaton,
Nope,
Madison Axel,
nope,
DJ Scott.
nope. 10, 9,
And he's
8,
still
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Ron Lusk.
And I have not seen
Sean
him
Overstreet.
yet. This one's going to catch guys. He doesn't get his respect low key. He's been a beast in the league, though. And it's Darius Martin. Darius
That's what I
Martin of
said
the
his name on here.
Elks, 10,596 career rushing yards. This guy was a monster. He was in the first ever RFL draft. Even was on a thumbnail. It's crazy to think this guy's at the end of his career, and he was part of that draft, man. It's crazy. Yeah, you said it afterwards though, Q. I don't already counted. See, you said, let me see. Yeah, you said Martin, but I already ended it by the time EA said Overstreet. Yeah, so only 500 reloads. Those some good questions there, Pat. I like those ones. But yeah, we got fun facts with Pat every week to get yourself a cool 500 reloads at least if you guess the question right. Typically, we have a minimum of 3. Sometimes we get you with 4 questions, but no more than 4 though, Pat. Uh, yeah, 3 to 4 questions what we'll go with.
Does he also get 500?
Huh?
Does Pat get 500 when they get it wrong?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, Pat's supposed to get 500. Now, if it's a question where I'm just like, oh, that's a little too crazy, then that's when he usually
It's,
doesn't get anything.
he
But
gets a,
yeah, but he'll get 1,000 reloads.
all right. I went ahead
Even
and
though
added those up.
even though he can't even use them, ain't no point in paying him though, because I mean he's an assistant coach, so he can't upgrade his player on a different team. But still give it to him, I guess.
Oh,
Yeah,
got a different team.
yeah,
Okay.
he's on a different team, so he can't even upgrade his player. Oh, you done miss? Oh yeah, you missed check-ins too, Pat. That will move my total to the. Oh yeah, you're all the way done, bud.
I'm not going to worry about that anymore then.
Yeah. So with that being said, I mean that's everything we needed to cover, guys. Went into details as much as possible. With everything, good recaps there, Ford. Appreciate it. Good questions, Pat, for the fun facts with Pat section, and we're looking forward to this half of play from these starters for this upcoming week in the RFL preseason. I would leave it to open questions, but honestly, since this is a day later, this is not Saturday and Sunday, and I got school tomorrow, cannot do open questions like I thought. I don't know how I put it on the graphic, but I usually have that at the end anyway, just in case. But that is it for me. It's your boy Smitty, RFL Commissioner and play-by-play commentator. Week 2 of the preseason starts tomorrow night at, I believe, 8 p.m. Eastern. Rob will let me know, and the information will be put out there to you guys. But until next time, that's it for me and Forbes. And we'll see you guys then. Peace.